Hey there, in this video I'm going to do the best that I can to explain how I eat to get lean in 10 minutes. I'm giving myself 10 minutes. This is my first YouTube video. My name's JB, by the way, and I am a bodybuilder, and I figured out a few things about how to transform my body. One of them being how to stay lean year-round. And so in this video, let's talk about diet and how your diet can be leveraged to give you the best chance of being as lean as possible. And I'm gonna assume that you also wanna maintain muscle mass in this process. You wanna be lean and muscular. So how do we do it? So the first thing that I would say is obviously gonna be, you gotta make your macros fit your goals, and our goal is to be lean and muscular, so we need protein. Protein is the building block for muscle, and it is a stimulatory response that you get every time that you eat a certain amount of protein. It turns on muscle protein synthesis, it builds up muscle tissue. It also has other properties that are going to be beneficial for us in the context of this video for getting lean, and that's that it helps you, it actually speeds up your metabolism. You burn a certain amount of calories to digest every macronutrient. Protein, you burn significantly more calories to break it down and assimilate it. And that may also be for other various reasons, like building muscle is an energy expensive process. So it's possible that that might be part of the reason too, that you burn more calories. But moral of the story, you burn more calories by eating protein. Protein is also the most satiating macronutrient, so that's going to be really good for staying lean as well, right? Because we want to increase our energy expenditure, we want to maintain our muscle, and we want to be consuming less calories than we burn in a day. So protein does all of that. It burns more calories all the time because you have more muscle. If you have more muscle, you're also going to have more energy and be more physically active, so you'll burn more. And then also it satiates you and makes you full. And it burns calories just by having to digest it. All great things and great reason to have lots of protein in your diet. So when we eat proteins, as far as for being lean, I don't think it so much matters the quality of the protein in the short term, but in the long term, you want to make sure that you have complete proteins. So what do I mean by that? I mean proteins that have the essential amino acids. I think there's either 9 or 10 of them. And that's going to be best to get from meat. You can also, if you're vegan, you can get it from plant sources. I'm not vegan. I eat meat protein mostly. You can also take a protein supplement that combines certain aminos for helping you if you don't want to eat meat. But main thing, good quality lean proteins that contain all the essential amino acids. So that's going to be meat, cheese, dairy of all different sorts, just anything that is complete. Just do a Google search for your protein source before you decide which one you want, and make sure that it is a complete protein. Now also, you want to make sure that you are getting enough calories, but you don't want to go overboard. So basically what I would say is you can do some calculations to figure out what your base metabolic rate needs to be and how many calories that it takes just to keep you alive in a day, and then also the amount that supports your level of activity. It's going to be very, very different for every person, so I can't really even give you a great formula that's going to tell you exactly what you need. But if you want to find out what your base metabolic rate is, just track with MyFitnessPal or another fitness app or diet app where you implement your food into your phone every day, and then it'll tell you about how many calories you're consuming. So just track everything that you eat, say for, I would give it a week or two, and don't change it, just do what you normally would do. Don't alter it at all. And then see what your weight does. Measure your weight before you start, and then at the end of that period, and see if if it's stable. And you should take your weight every day and do an average, just kind of track it, just see what it's doing, because it can vary from fluid from day to day. And so I would just track it for, say about a week to 2 weeks. Figure out how many calories you're consuming, see what your weight does. If it stays stable, then that means that is your base metabolic rate with the current level of activity that you're doing, right? So your base metabolic rate. That would be the most accurate way, I would say, to get it, and that's going to be pretty accurate. And so once you get that and you know how many calories that you're consuming, if you want to get leaner, you need to consume less. So then you need to figure out, well, what kind of strategies can I do to eat less? Well, increasing your protein, I just told you, is one that you can do to continue to feel satiated and eat less, and it also burns more calories. So I should give you also a recommendation for how much protein, right? So to build muscle, I would say if you're getting really, really high quality protein sources, 0.8 grams per pound is going to be enough. But if you're incorporating other sources of protein that aren't super high quality, and also you're counting in, your other foods that you're eating, like your grains have some protein, vegetables even have some protein, then your quality might not be quite as good. So I would just set it as a minimum. If you're a lean person, to try, or fairly lean, I'm just saying maybe around 15% body fat or lower, go for a gram per pound of body weight. But if you're above that amount, figure out what your lean body mass is and then consume that amount of grams per pound of body weight. So 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein is what I mean by that. And that's lean pounds, remember. So that's going to be your amount as a minimum for maintaining your muscle mass. Now, you may be satiated on that at your calorie amount. So I also should tell you how many calories. Well, if you want to get leaner, you need to be under your base metabolic rate. At first, you may be able to eat at your base metabolic rate and just get really consistent, and you'll, just by being consistent, having good meals, and having more structure to your life, optimizing other things, you may be able to get leaner at your base metabolic rate. Sometimes that can happen. But if you're already optimized there, I'm just going to assume that you are, then you need to start cutting out some calories. So you can go with anywhere from 200 to say 500 calories deficit. That means being under whatever your base metabolic rate is. When I say base metabolic rate, also, I'm just referring to how many calories that it takes, including your activity, including your lifting, including everything. I know that's not technically base metabolic rate. I'm not going to get all scientific on you here, but basically, you want to be 200 to 500 calories under that and see if you're dropping weight. And that should be a good amount to get you dropping body fat. Now, just keep increasing your protein as your macros in that. We have macros: protein, carbs, and fats. You need to figure out, well, how much of each one do you need? So protein, adjust that to your hunger. That's going to be the first thing that you set. And then your fats and your carbs, you need to have at least 20% of your calories coming from your fats to support healthy hormone levels, including testosterone. A lot of fats, especially animal fats and cholesterol as well, are used to synthesize hormones in your body. So testosterone, estrogen, all these hormones that are going to help you with your goals of being lean. You need to maintain those. So 20% of your calories, the minimum for fat. Now you can go only protein and fat and be carnivore if you want. That's a great way to stay the most satiated, I've found, and also kind of cut down on the food noise a little bit. You may try keto or carnivore if you want to really be aggressive. I don't know how I feel necessarily about going all meat and not having any fiber. I found that when I did carnivore for a while, it was good for a lot of things, but I found that it's better to actually have some fiber. So I would at least throw in some vegetables. You can still stay in deep ketosis, throwing in vegetables and eating carnivore. Otherwise, and it doesn't necessarily have to be carnivore. I think olive oil is fine. I'm not of the camp that plants are toxic. I don't believe that. I haven't found that. I tried it strictly and I didn't notice much difference from the fat sources. You want anti-inflammatory fats in your diet that can be beneficial. So things like olive oil. I'm just looking at, I have a bottle of olive oil that I drink all the time, or use with my meals. Just drink it all the time. Sometimes I do. So 20% minimum for the fats. You can go as high as completely fats and protein. Protein adjusts for your hunger levels, increase it. You can go way above a gram per pound. Just keep increasing it until you feel satiated enough. And then carbs, for carbs, what you want to do is, I'm just going to turn my timer off because I'm going to go a little bit over in this. for carbs, you want to replace whatever calories are left once you've taken care of your hormones. You can go as low as 20. You can go as high as, say, 30 if you're going to go for more of like a balanced, typical bodybuilding type of macro split. And then if you're going to do carnivore, obviously you don't really have carbs much, except for little trace amounts that are keto-wise in your vegetables and other things. So that being said, carbs can be very beneficial for the pump in the gym and also providing long-lasting energy through anaerobic workouts like lifting workouts, which I'm assuming if you're here, you're lifting because you want to be lean and muscular, you want a nice physique. So those workouts, you can really, I do notice a difference when I'm consuming carbs versus going carnivore. When I did carnivore or keto, either way, and I was on almost no carbs, I noticed I just didn't get the same pumps. I wasn't as full. Even not being natty, like it still affects your level of pump in the gym if you go completely keto. And especially if you are natty, I think it's going to be, if your main goal is just to be as shredded as possible, carnivore or keto can work. But if you want to maintain a certain level of muscle and performance in the gym, I would recommend that you throw some carbs in there. But that being said, if you're one of these people that has a little bit of carbs and then you just go crazy and you're all the time craving carbs, well, when you're in ketosis, you don't think about food as much and your blood sugar is just stable across the whole day. That is one benefit of it. So you may go through a phase where you do keto or carnivore for a while just to really get that blood glucose level stable, make sure you're super metabolically healthy, and then maybe start adding back in some carbs. I notice so many of the carnivore people go through that journey. They go strict carnivore, they start feeling great, they stop eating all these processed foods because they're able to, because that helps them regulate their hunger signals and helps them with the blood sugar that's constantly doing this. When they don't have that anymore, then they're able to just steadily eat more by choice instead of just being dictated by their out of whack metabolic health and dopamine system. So all that to say, you can do carnivore, you can do keto, you can do some carbs, but if you do have some carbs in, I think in an ideal world, if your hunger, if you can keep it in check, if you don't have cravings, if you're able to really regulate yourself, then there's benefit to go with some carbs in your diet, particularly after your workout and maybe also before. Some people like to train fasted. I like to train semi-fasted. I have a shake before my workout and I have some fat. I actually do drink some olive oil or either mix it in with some eggs and have maybe a can of, I got them right here actually, can of sardines. That's like a good protein fat meal with also some, obviously I have the protein shake for the aminos, and that really does help you get a little bit of an anabolic response before your workout, get you a little something on your stomach, but it doesn't spike your blood sugar, so you're still deep in ketosis. I like to do that, and it's almost like you're still fasting in certain ways. Certain pathways that are beneficial for, say, longevity or inflammation are still activated while you're in ketosis by doing that. And then you can have your carbs later in the day. And also, ketosis is not an on-off switch. It's a volume knob, how many ketones you're producing. So if you're metabolically very healthy, you're training hard, you're burning a lot of calories, maybe you're doing fasted cardio, I believe that you can have some carbs in your diet, like a decent amount of carbs, and especially if you have a good amount of muscle mass, and still dip into ketosis every day if you're doing, say, intermittent fasting. So that is kind of the thing with carbs. You can also have carbs before your workout if you want just the maximum amount of anabolism in your body, building muscle, building tissue, and then carbs post-workout. I think that's a great way to go. There's something said maybe for having a little bit of carbs with your last meal to elevate your serotonin levels, which can help you sleep better. We'll get into the importance of sleep for being lean later in other parts and other sections of this lean series, Getting Lean. So The last thing I will comment on is fasting, having time restricted eating. And fasting as well. Time restricted feeding is eating within a window. If you shrink down the window of when you eat, basically you just get to eat bigger meals. And also, like I said, you get to dip into ketosis every day. So there's certain longevity benefits that you might have. You also can go through something called autophagy. This isn't about longevity, this video, but that's just a thing that can also benefit your aesthetics, like your skin health. Other things that pertain to looking your best as well, other than being lean. But in the context of being lean, shrinking down your eating window allows you to eat bigger meals when you do eat. And so I would say also meal frequency, 2 or 3 meals a day can get the job done if you're able to get all that protein in that you need though. So play around with the meals, but you can also, if you're looking for maximum muscle gain, 4 or 5 meals, you are going to build slightly more muscle than if you were to have 2 or 3 meals. Now it's slight, it's not a big difference, but it does make a difference. So just depends on your goals, how you want to adjust that. And also, can you get all your protein in 2 or 3 meals? That's also something, there's something set for that. So you gotta make sure that you're at least getting that minimum. And then also, are you getting enough to keep yourself satiated? So all these factors play along, but hopefully this has given you some ideas to think about. And you can make your decisions for yourself based on this information. Just hopefully you have more of a clear picture of how nutrition can be leveraged to get lean. And then the last thing I'm gonna talk about is long-term fasting. Now, long-term fasting is not good for muscle growth, but if you throw in a long-term fast every now and then, you can actually start to get leaner every time that you do a long-term fast. Now, when I say long-term fast, I'm talking over 24 hours, like 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 days. Some people do a week. Personally, I do 5.5 days. I think that's probably about the maximum if you're trying to be a bodybuilder or maintain muscle mass. If you go over that, you're going to start losing more and more muscle. Even at that point, you lose a little bit during your fast, but you also gain a lot of other aesthetic benefits that are beyond the scope of this video. This would be an hour-long video if I went into all of that. But also, you want to make sure that if you do fast, basically, it is a way to kind of over time, if you do a periodic, say quarterly water fast or twice a year fast or even yearly, over time it can start to lower your body fat set point. Because typically I notice when I do a fast, I'm not going to gain as much body fat back between each fast that I do quarterly. 5.5 days quarterly is what I do. Just water, maybe some fiber. You could arguably throw in some vegetables, replace your micronutrients, take a supplement. Look up some videos on how to fast. Don't just do it based on what I've told you here. There's a lot more I could go into on how to do a long fast. But if you do a long fast, you'll lose between 5, depending on your body weight and your metabolism and how muscular you are and how active you are during the fast. You'll lose between 5 and say 12 pounds during a 5.5 day fast. Usually I lose about 7-8 pounds, and then gradually you might gain 2 or 3 back, maybe 4 during your period between your fasts. But overall, there's a net loss. And so over time, you can start to lower your body fat set point. Now you can lose muscle, so just pay attention to how well you maintain muscle. But that is one quick way to kind of give yourself a nice start to lose some muscle, lose some muscle, definitely not the goal here, lose some fat that you can take a big chunk of it off and then over time gradually lower your set point. That's one strategy that has been very effective for me personally. So giving you a lot of ideas here. I know I flew through things pretty fast, but I wanted to do 10 minutes. This is going to be probably a 15 or 20 minute video. It's just hard to cover all of nutrition that fast, and I just spitballed this. I'm sure I'll probably miss some stuff. I'd love for you to comment some of the things that have helped you in the comments so we can all learn from each other. I'm still learning. I've been doing this a long time. I've had some great results, but I'm still just reading up, trying to learn everything that I possibly can, and also talking to other people. So if you've had certain things that worked really well for you, share them in the comments down below, and let's all learn from each other and continue to get leaner over time, just stay as shredded as we absolutely possibly can, trying to look like a Greek god. That is one of the best things that makes the biggest difference for your physique and your appearance, is being lean. It's great to be lean. It feels good. It's good for your health. Maybe not to be super lean, but you know, we do what we do. We all have our own goals. So thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to sharing more strategies with you. This is going to be a series on different things to get lean, like lifestyle, nutrition, training, all supplements, all the different things. I'm going to break it down into different categories. So subscribe and you will see my future videos being released on all the other things you can leverage to get lean. Because if you just optimize your nutrition, that's not enough. There's other things that account for being lean as well. Thanks for watching.